Look, the raw truth is this: quitting alcohol and quitting weed didn't just change my habits, but it forced me to confront every part of being a father, being a husband. But here's the part: no one told me how darn hard it was going to be and how it would unlock the best version of myself. And I want to share to all my men out there who are fathers, who are doing their best to show up. I want to share what I wish I'd known before I fully committed on getting sober and quitting alcohol and quitting weed. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Jamie Garza. It's time to ignite your sobriety. And today I want to talk about the raw truth about sobriety and fatherhood. I have a lot of reflections I want to share, especially showing up as a father. I know a lot of my comments, there's men out there in their 30s like myself who have the idea of wanting to quit smoking. They want to stop drinking. They want to be better for their kids, their families, leading. And honestly, when I first started with the idea of going sober, it just seemed like it was gonna fix everything immediately. I mean, how hard could it be? It's like, all right, well, if I'm lacking here or getting in arguments or making bad decisions, let me go ahead and just stop completely. Let me stop smoking weed. Let me stop drinking alcohol. And then ultimately, everything should fix itself, right? Well, that's what I thought. And boy, was I wrong. And that's probably why it took me so long to get my stuff together, because it was all a part of the process and journey. It just didn't start with that idea and then boom, everything's fixed. No, there was times where I relapsed, where I fell short, and I got back on the wagon. Because the truth of it, now being over 2 years marijuana free, weed free, and over 3 years no alcohol, I want to share that I had to rebuild my mind. I had to rebuild habits. I had to rewire, had to reprogram. I had to be the version of myself before I became that version, because oftentimes it felt like I was going backwards and not forward because of my mood swings. I couldn't control my emotions. I was even more snappier. I was even more smart mouth. And there was plenty of times where I got so discouraged because my wife would call me out like, hey, you're being an a-hole. Or the kids would be like, dang, like, you could see it on my kids that, why was I snapping on them? They became so scared to ask me questions, or they knew the answer was gonna be no, or I was gonna get mad if they didn't do something right. And I really had to face these. See, weed and alcohol was always my escape, but sobriety forced me to face myself. And I didn't get real serious about my sobriety until I embarked later on in my fatherhood, right before my daughter was about to be born. I didn't grow up with my father in a household. I always had a stepdad who stepped in. Shout out to him. I had a few man figures, but I had no one really to emulate a man who went sober. Drinking and smoking has always been in front of me. It's always been part of my life. It's always something I've been aware of. Kids see everything. When my stepson was asking me, hey, what you rolling up? I'm like, oh, snap. He's mindful. He sees me going to the garage. He's not no idiot. He knows I'm smoking weed. He smells it, right? Like, these are all things, and it's almost like that microscope getting even more on top of you. My young son started to ask a few more questions, and he'd be like, hey, I want to be like Dad. Dad's like Stone Cold Steve Austin, drinking and all that. And I was like, man. And it at the time, it was cute, if you want to say that. It was cute per se, but it wasn't nothing I was really proud of. As I reflect back, like, I want my kids to emulate and maybe do things in me that are bettering yourself. Like, they just both got baptized. That was huge. We didn't force them to do anything. Or today they wanted to help pick up trash, because I pick up trash in my neighborhood, at least every month, and they came with me. Or they want to work out and start running and do these things. And because kids observe, they watch everything. How do I know that? Because one time I was a kid many years ago, and guess what I did? I observed the men I look up to, my tios. I observed that they would drink a lot. I observed when they smoked weed. I observed my abuelo, who is like a father to me. I observed how he ran the household, how he provided, how he put his life on the line for this country. I observed all of those traits. Just so happens he drank a lot. But in becoming a father myself, I had to learn things different. I didn't have a father guide me through everything. So I'm learning differently, and things that I have to shift to become a better father, to become a better husband, to become a better man. See this glow? Yeah, y'all see it. Y'all see this glow? It's real glow right here. It's that sober glow, and you can have it too. That sobriety, why I love it so much each and every day, is because it gives me that clarity. It didn't give me the perfection. There's no such thing as perfect anything, but it gives me that clarity, that focus, that drive, that feeling to keep showing up even when it gets rough. Because that's what men do. That's what fathers do. If you out here and you a father too, that's what we do. I'm not perfect, all right? I'm not a guru. I don't have my everything in order. I'm still learning. I'm still being guided by God. I'm still on my journey. However, I've been through it. I suffered like over 15 years of this. I'm a walking testament, so that's why I'm sharing this with you guys. And it wasn't until my daughter was about to be born, and when she was born in 2022, when it really hit me and God spoke to me. Because at that time, in April, when I turned 33, I could hear God more clearly. He told me just stop drinking right then and there. No more off and ons, no more excuses. And I did so. And I did that because I wanted my daughter to see a version of her dad that doesn't drink and doesn't smoke. She would never see that part of me. She would never smell that part of me. To this day, she won't ever see her dad do that. And that girl life hit different. And I battled in the transition of going no alcohol. I battled both because at the time I was leaning more into weed. And in my mind, I had these ideas like, oh, weed's therapy for me. Weed's medicine for me. It calms me down, anxiety, mental health. I put all these things of what weed was. Oh, it could be worse. I could be drinking. I could be alcoholic. I quit alcohol. Something's got to give. That's what I was telling myself. And I told myself that about 6 months after that. In fact, I remember when my daughter was about to be born, her and my son, they have a birthday right after each other. We're celebrating my son's birthday. And we come home, about cut the cake and ice cream. My wife is still, she could be delivered any time now. And I remember that when I came home, she started having contractions. And we had to rush to the hospital because my daughter was about to be born. It's about to be C-section time. And what's funny about that is after, went to go to Sky Zone with my son or whatnot, I just planned. I had a big fatty rolled up. And I was like, oh man, after this, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna spark one. Oh, I'm gonna get some action before it's go time. Nope. And that's how I knew God was just tapping me like, oh, it's game time. I've been there, trying to quit both. But I will admit, there was a time where one lingered a little bit longer before I quit. And again, I went from April to November 2022 before I completely quit smoking weed. As men, we don't really have outlets to share. We don't like sharing our emotions because that could be perceived as weak. I don't have many friends. I'm not complaining. I got 2 best friends. One especially we talk to every day. I talk to every day. But I don't really have groups. I have a lot more acquaintances. I relate to people. I got some church family. But as men, we don't speak of our emotions and what we got going on or what struggles we face. Look at this car trying to creep up. That's a fresh car. But we don't have that. And of being a provider, of being a father, to be a protector, it's a lot of pressure. Pressure don't bust pipes on this end, but what weed and alcohol did, it gave me a crutch. And it gave me a false sense of peace and relieving my mind when I was walking through it. Because you best believe when I quit both my emotions was uppity up, giddy up. Felt like my emotions were on fire. Ultimately, to this day, it forged me into becoming the man that I want my kids to admire and look up to. Because at the end of the day, no one told me that the journey would be this real. And I just want to give a big shout out to God because He put it in my heart and my soul to commit and go all in. I've been trying to get sober for a long, long time. We're talking over 14 years off and on. And in 2022, I finally went all in. But what I'm reflecting back to you guys is everything I went through in emotions. No one told me that getting sober, quitting alcohol, quitting weed would get lonely. You know, you start to lose friends, pals, acquaintances, however you want to, and it's all love. You know, we got different interests now. You got to really find yourself. It gets isolation almost. So that's why I wonder, like, dang, I'm blessed that I had God I could talk to every day because it get lonely. But in a isolation, I was able to build my mind. I was able to accept truth and dive in deeper. I was able to use my imagination. I was able to craft my routines. I was able to craft better habits and things and activities, which I love running now. I love being active. I love eating healthier. I love, working in my business. I love being less distracted. I love reading more. I love just having that curiosity, that childlike curiosity in life. And every time I wake up in the morning, boom, I'm like, dang, thank you, Lord. He allowed me to open my eyes in this world. When I got sober, I think the toughest parts for me was having to deal with anxiety, with self, anger, with self. Everything I look back of what I used to mask, had to really fine tune. That accountability, when you're looking at it straight in the eyes, woof, and you don't got nothing else to mask it with. You got to be bold. You are bold. You're courageous for wanting to accomplish this. And I see numerous comments of people, hard on themselves, that they're trying and they fall off. It's okay. Pick yourself back up. I picked myself back up numerous times. Even when I drift away from God, like I'm not even supposed to be here right now. I'm just so blessed and graced. Like seriously, the way I was living, I never thought I'd have kids. I want to let anyone know out there that especially my men out there who are fathers, like, I read the comments. I've been in your shoes. Okay, I'm 36, right? I've been in your shoes. I got a stepson who's about to be 16. I got a son who's 8 and a daughter who's 2, right? I've been in your shoes. I'm in your shoes. I'm sober now, though. I'm moving different. I'm learning as I go, too. And these are my reflections back to you to keep hanging on in there. And I want you guys out there to drop a comment below. I respond to everything, right? What you're going through right now. Why this thought, why you want to get sober. What do you think it'll do for your family, for yourself, for your kids, for your wife? I really want to build this community for men and fathers like us who want to get sober, who are tired of letting substances and beverages control our life, control our emotion. It's time to take that back. It's time to take ownership back. It's time to get to it, stand on business, ignite your sobriety. And if you want to see more content like this, you know what to do. Hit that red button, subscribe so you don't miss a video. Let's get it, man. We're halfway through 2025. When we got 6 more months to 2026. Things is crazy in the world now. You gotta have the edge up. This is the way to get the edge up. This is the way to stay ahead of everybody. Get sober. Ignite your sobriety.